Okay, I guess I have a story for you. As you may know, I drive a 1998 Jeep Cherokee. It's a SUV which is now about 15 years old. And the other day I was coming home from a mall. It was like a 45 to 50 minute drive going up the Northway. And after I pulled off the exit and I was at a red light, I heard this noise, and I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't know if it was my car or another car. But the noise kept getting louder as I drove, so apparently it was coming from me. And I didn't know what it was. I was afraid it was the transmission that was failing, because it was like a rattling, like gears coming loose type of noise. But the car was shifting okay, so it wasn't that. I was getting closer to the house, and I noticed that the steering was getting a lot harder. You know, it's got power steering, and as it was going around corners, it was harder and harder to turn it. So I, figured out it's probably the power steering. So when I parked at the house, I opened the hood, and like the whole top of the engine on the left-hand side was wet. So I kind of figured that a hose burst in the power steering system, and the fluid was spraying everywhere. So had to have it towed in to the garage to get it worked on. And I found out that it needs a new power steering pump, and that plus there were a couple struts in the front suspension. One of them was broken, the other one was almost rusted through. They recommended I get those replaced. So total bill, including labor and tax, is going to be around $700 for that. I started to think about, like when you have an older car, at some point you have to make that decision that it's not worth fixing. Like, how do you arrive at that decision? Like when I was younger, I used to get like cheap second, third, or fourth hand cars, and just keep fixing them up and driving them. So I'd have a low transportation expense. And I used to say that I would just drive it till I run it into the ground. That was my saying. But as I discovered, you can't actually do that. You cannot drive a car into the ground, because it's not going to just suddenly fall apart at some point in the future. You'll drive it and then something will break, and then you have the option of replacing whatever it is, and you keep driving it. In this case, my car, it's good. It's a good solid vehicle when it works. But once it's an old one, it's got old hoses and a little bit of rust, so things are going to start falling apart on it. So I don't know. I guess there's a question I'll throw out there. If you drive older cars, at what point do you decide that it's not worth fixing? Or do you just keep fixing it, and maybe you're a mechanic, I don't know, and you just do it yourself? I don't know. What do you think?